Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to start with basic SQL commands. In fact, this SQL or SQL is the structured query language. It is a language that is used to access the data in the database or create a table or delete data from a database or retrieve data. So in fact, this structured query language is the language in which we write down the commands. So let's start with the basic commands of SQL. There are a number of SQL statements, few of which are explained below. So we are going to discuss few very basic commands that will be beneficent for you to start with. So let's start with the data definition language or DDL. In fact, this is not some new language, rather it is the subset of SQL. That means the SQL is the language, and these are few statements that in fact make up that data definition language. So this is the language used to define the tables. It sets up, changes and removes data structure from the table. It uses command like create, alter, drop. So in fact, whenever we are going to use DDL, we are going to create a table, add a column into it, we can delete the table along with the data. So these are few commands of SQL that are used to create tables and delete table and change their designs. Similarly, we have another subset of SQL commands that is data manipulation language, DML. This language constitutes the statements that are used to manipulate with data. So in fact, these are few statements, in fact, with the help of which we can insert data into the tables, we can modify data, we can delete the data. So we will study these two. And then we have data retrieval statement. So again, it is a SQL command, and it is select command is the data extracting statement that brings out the data from the table, that fetches data from the table. So now let's start with the basic one, and that one would be, say, creating a table. So the syntax of that command is create table and then table name. Remember one thing, when we write down the syntax, then this less than greater than symbol means we have to write down something here. That is a variable name. So when I will write down create table, I will write down some name over here. For example, customer table or account table or something, and I will not put these less than and greater than symbols. So it is just to mention in the syntax that when we have less than and greater than symbol, that does not mean that we will write down these symbols, rather we will write down whatever comes inside these, right? And similarly, when we have a square bracket in the syntax, that means this thing is optional. Either we can write down or we can run the query without writing it. So let's start again. Create table, table name, space, and either we can start from here or we can move to the next line. So normally it is more readable, so I just wrote down over here that starting bracket, then the name of the field one, then its type, then its width, and if I write down not null, then it will not take any null value for the first field. And if I do not write anything, then by default it will put it as null. So if we will enter the data, we can enter a null in this field 1. So if you want it to have some value, that is the must value, then you will have to write down not null in front of this, then comma, then second field name, its type, its width, again you want to write down not null or null, then comma, and then all other fields, and then closing bracket for this bracket, and then semicolon. And here you have the example of this syntax, that is create table. So create table, and then a table name is student table, and then starting bracket. So starting bracket, field 1 is reg number, type is text, width is 6. I did not write not null in front of it, so by default it will consider it null. So if somebody tries to enter the null value for reg number, it will accept. Remember one thing, we are not making the table with the primary key, right? It is a simple table, so it will take the null value. Then comma, I can write down in front of it name text 25, but I went to the next line to make it more readable. So name text 25, comma, class text 5, and this starting bracket has this closing bracket and semicolon. So when I run this command, in fact this command will create a table. So let's do it in the MS-ACCES. so that you must understand where to write down the query and how to create a table in it. So check, I'll go to the MS-ACCES, I'll go to the main menu, then create, then I'll go to the query design, and as I told you in the previous lectures that do not add any course, just simply close this dialog box and then go to this left top ribbon, and then I say that close. I go to the SQL view and check, here I get this thing, that is where editor, where I can write down the command. So I just write down create table student underscore table reg number text 6, everything is here. And now check, here I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 tables over here. When I execute this command with this run in the main menu, you have design option, design menu item, then you have a ribbon run. So when I run this command, I will get a new table with the name student underscore table. There is no such table with the name student underscore table. So I just do it run. So now check, here we have 1 2 3 4, okay, it is on the top now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this is the new one. I open it in the design view and check. We have created a table with reg number, short text 6, then name with the short text 25, and then the class with short text 5. So in fact we have created the table with the help of this command or this query, right? Reg number, name and class. So now let's move to create a table with the primary key. So when I start with SQL, so it gives me a little change in the same command. So creating a table with primary key. So syntax again is create table, then the table name, then the starting bracket, field type, width, and one thing is different now. I will write down after this width, I'll put a space over here, then I will write down the reserved word primary key. So the field that has this primary key keyword in front of it will become the primary key. So now if I do that again in Access and I copy paste this for you so that you must know that it creates any table or not. So I go to the MS-ACCES and now here I will try to create another table that would have the name student table 2. It is student table, so it will not create student table again, it will create with a different name. So when I write down, I go to the design, I execute, check, here we have a table. I open it in the design view, check, here I have reg number with the primary key. So this table will not get a null value for reg number, duplicate value for the reg number, so it is primary key now. So sometime we need to create a composite primary key. Whenever a single attribute cannot identify a unique record, then we use 2 attributes or 3 attributes to identify a unique record. So for that we need a composite primary key. So let's see how in basic SQL commands we can do this. So creating a table with composite primary key. Now check the same syntax, create table, table name, starting bracket, field 1 type width, comma, field 2 type width, comma, all the fields. When we have defined all the fields, without closing this bracket we will write down primary key, this is the reserved word, and inside another bracket we will write down the names of the fields that we have defined above, and those 2 or 3 fields will become the composite primary key. So now check the example, create table student table 3, reg number text 4. You can write down name over here, then class in the third line, but I have written it in the one line to just use this space because I have the less space. So we can write down like this too. And then after defining all the attributes, I wrote down primary key and then reg number and class. So now it will make a table with the composite primary key of reg number and class. So let's check. I take this into Access and I just ask it to create student table 3. So here we have student table 2 and now 3, and we have defined in the last line primary key, reg number and class. So when I execute from the design and then the run, then check, it has created table 3. So now when I look at it into the design view, check. So now reg number and name are the composite primary key of this table. So in this way we can create a simple table without any primary key. We can create a table with the single primary key and then a composite primary key. So these were the three commands that we have studied so far. So now we start with next command after this composite key, to add a field to the table. So now check, I have created a table, but now I just realize, oh, I forgot to add the email, or I forgot to add the city, or I forgot to add the CNIC. So now what will I do? I will use another SQL command, that is alter table. Check, this is the reserve word, that is alter table. Then again the table name that you want to use to add a field in it. So alter table and then table name, then the reserve word add, and the new field that you want to add into that table, that existing table, right? Then its type and then its width. So let me do that with one of the existing table. So what will I do? I will add a column into it. So now check, alter table, student underscore table, add. For example, you can check here we do not have the city, reg number, name and class. So what I do, I want to add a city column into this table, type text, and its width must be 20. And then when I run this command, check what happens. Design, execute, nothing happened, but it has added a column into this table. So let's check, right click, design view, and now you may see reg number, name, class, and here is the city with the 20 characters. Check, here we have the city. So now it has changed the design of the table. That is why this command belongs to the group of data definition language. When I open it, so now I have reg number, name and class plus city that we have added just right now. So in this way we can add a column to the table. So now the next command of SQL is, if I want to enter or add two columns simultaneously, that means in a single command I want to add two or more columns. So check, I apply this alter table and then table name, then add first field, its type, comma, second field, its type, and semicolon. This is a typo, this closing bracket must not be here. And now we check how will it work. So I just want to add this to this alter table and I make it student table, right? So we must have the same table to tackle with. So now alter table, student score table, add father name, text 20, CNIC number, and semicolon. So check, when I run, what happens? It will add these two columns, father name and CNIC, because we do not have father name and CNIC in it. So I just close that down. I go to the design and I execute. It has done something. So let's check what it has done. So reg number, name, class, city, and now it has added two more columns, two more fields in the table, the father's name and the CNIC. So in this way we can change the design, we can add the columns. Now let's see the next command. To delete a table along with contents. Remember one thing, this command will delete the table, not only the data but the table plus data. So data structure, that is a table, will also get deleted. So command syntax is drop table and then table name and semicolon. Very simple command, but it is destructive when you will execute it in MS-ACCES. It will delete the table without asking you, without confirming. So please try to delete a table that is not useful for you or that you have created only to delete, right? So I will just drop table, table name. So drop table, student underscore table 2. So I will try to delete a table that is not very important for me. It is empty table like this. So I want to delete it. So what will I do? I will simply write down drop table, reserve word, space, and then the name of the table, student underscore table 2 semicolon. So now check, here we have the table, and as soon as I run it or execute it, it will simply delete without confirming. So I just write down run, and it is gone, right? Table 2 is gone. So in this way we can delete the table and the data simultaneously. So now these were few very basic commands to create a table, to add a column, to delete a table. So now let's move to the next command, that is data manipulation language command, that is to insert data into a table. So the syntax is insert into, then the table name, starting bracket, then the field 1, field 2, field 3 of the table, then the closing bracket, and then the reserved word values, and then for field name 1, value 1, for field name 2, value 2, for field name 3, value 3. So when I will write down this command, these fields must be equal to these values, otherwise it will give me error. So look what I did here. Insert into student underscore table, reg number, name and class. So these are the three fields, and I want to give value for only these three fields. I don't want to give the value of, for example, father's name. I don't want to give the value of the CNIC or the city. So check, it will get these three fields, and then I will write down values, and I will provide it the values for each defined column. Reg number 1211, name Umar, class MCS. So if I write it down like this, 1211 MCS and Umar, computer will not know, and it will put MCS at the place of name and Umar at the place of class. So logically we must know that which field is first in the list. So the first value must be the value of that field, then second field and its value, and third field and its value. So let's start with it, that we try to insert some records in our existing table. So what I do, I simply go to this place, I write down Control V. You may see that here we have reg number, name, class, city, father's name, CNIC. So I don't want to insert these three values. So what will I do? Check. Insert into student table, reg number, name and class, and values are 1211, and I will put it in the quotes because in fact this is defined as the short text. So now when I run this, you will see that here a record will be entered. So I do that by going to design and then run. It is telling me that you are about to append one row. That means I'm going to add a row into this table, add a record. I'll say okay, yes. And now when I will open this, you may see that here we have reg number 1211, name Umar, class MCS, and these fields city, father name and CNIC are empty right now. So this is how to write down a very basic command. And if I want to write down all these 6 values, so let's see what will I do. I delete this record, for example, delete, yes. And now check what will I do. I will just change the syntax a little bit. Reg number, name, class, I will just delete all these attributes. Then insert into student table, and I have not mentioned any attribute, but I know that there are 6 fields, so I will have to give 6 values. So second one is ISB, Islamabad, right? Then I write down, for example, after Islamabad I have father's name, Ali Umar. Then I have city, father name and CNIC 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, fine. And then I just close this and semicolon. So now check, insert into student table. I have not mentioned the attributes, but I know there are 6 columns, so I will provide the 6 values according to data type, and I simply execute this, design, and then run. And you are about to append a row, you are about to add a record. Okay, fine, yes. And when I open this, check 1211 Umar, MCS, ISB, Ali Umar, and the CNIC. So in this manner I have entered a record with the help of this particular SQL command. And remember, if I want to keep CNIC empty, then I will have to write down null. Why? Because I have not mentioned here attributes. So that means when I will provide it the values, even if I want to keep some value null, I will have to write down null at that place. So the last column will have the null value. So let's do it. I just change this value, for example 2233 ASIF BS RWP M Salim. So now it is null. CNIC would be null. So now I run this command, design, execute. I am going to add a row. Okay, yes. Then open the table, and you will find that the first command entered the full record and the second entered the data, but CNIC is empty. So in this manner we can add a record with null value for one or more fields. So this is how we define it. So now check. Here we have insert into student table reg number, name, class, roll number, and check values what I have done already, 1124 Babar and null. So I am giving it 4 columns and I am assigning null value to the class and null value to the roll number. So in this manner either you may give the field list and then that many field values, and if I want to keep these 2 null, I will only write down reg number and name, and I will not mention the class and roll number. So I will only give 1122, that will go to the reg number. I will only write down Babar and it will go to the name, and I will not give it class or roll number. So those would be null by default, right? Automatically it will become null. Now we check the next. Insert into table name and values, that I have already done. Insert into student table, values, null. And then again insert into student table, then again attribute or fields, 4 fields, 4 values. And as I told you, if I want to keep CNIC, so here it is city, I want to keep city null. So check, I wrote down null without any quotes, so it will assign a null value to the city. And here if I only want to enter only these 2 fields value, I will say insert into student table only those field names in which I want to insert data, then the value, that is the keyword, then the value of these fields, reg number 1124, name Babar. So it will keep all other attributes of the table null. So this is how we insert the data. Now I want to modify data, I want to change some value of the data, right? So now check, the reserved word or the keyword is update, command is update, then table name, and then a reserved word set field name is equal to value. That means set this field's value this, and where in fact is a clause, is a condition, where condition. So how we write down the command in this syntax? Check, update student table, set semester is equal to 5. It is asking it to make the semester value 5 for all records where semester is equal to 4 and status is equal to pass. So wherever in the table it will find that semester is 4 and status is pass, it will automatically change this 4 into 5. So this value will be automatically changed from 4 to 5 if this condition is true, right? So now check, we try to change some data in our table. So here we have check, we have ISB, right? So I will try to change this particular data. So I will write down update, I must copy this one so that we may have exact parameters, and I will just change according to my requirement. And update, the table name is student underscore table, so I will just make this change, table set city is equal to the complete name Islamabad, right? And then where city is equal to ISB and semicolon to terminate the command. So now check, this had Umar MCS ISB. So when I run this command, design, then execute, so it is asking me that you are going to update one row or one record, because there is only one student with the name of city as ISB. So I say okay, yes. And now you may check here that that ISB has become the Islamabad. So this command update table name, set columns value where column value was this command, this condition, right? So it changes that particular value. So now check update table student. Okay, that has been done. To delete a row or rows or records, right? So we write down what? Delete from table name, and here we have an optional criteria, that is where clause. So where and condition. So we can write down it like this: delete from student table. But remember, if you run this command, it will delete all the records, records present in that table. So we have to define, if I want to delete all the records, I will use this. But if I want to delete some specific record, then I'll say delete from student table, and I will give it some condition, where clause, where class is equal to MCS, or where city is equal to this, whatever. So now check how can we use this same command into MS-ACCES. Delete from student table, right, where class is equal to MCS. Let me check, is there any record with the MCS? Okay, Umar MCS is there, and Asif belongs to BS. So one record will be deleted. Okay, so when I just click run design, run, so it is telling me you are about to delete one row. Only one student has the class MCS, so it will delete that record. I say yes, and now when you open the table, check that record is gone, right? So in this way we can delete a record or more records. If there were 5 students of MCS, then those 5 records would have been deleted with this command. Now check retrieving. This is very important command, because most of the time we are retrieving data, we are extracting data from one table or more. So check, this command is, the syntax of this command is select. Sorry, select is the command name. Then we will write down the fields that we want to see in our result: Reg number, name, class, address, city, CNIC, father's name, everything. And then from table name. So bring these fields from this table, and this where clause is again optional, where condition, right? So now check how we can check. Select all from student table. So now check, I will just copy paste this command, select, because I have created this, so it will be helpful. So I simply say that Control V, select steric from student table. So now check, student table has only one record. So let's see what will this command do. It will bring that data or not. Run. It brought me that data, only one record. Okay, now I add another record. I don't want to save it. Okay, so I just check this table and I insert some data in it. 1 2 3 4 9 B CS ISB, and for example name Ullah, right? And CNIC, he has the CNIC 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So whatever. And now I just close this one, and now I execute that particular query again, and I want to see that what will happen, right? So now I just, let me save it because it will not allow me now. Just a minute. SQL view, right? So let me paste it over here. Select all from student table. So when I run, check, now it is showing me the 2 records, right? So now I want to use the clause. I want to see only students of BCS or only who belong to Rawalpindi, whatever. So now I will simply, we can do it by adding a where clause, where condition in it. So now check, select all from student table where class is equal to BCS, right? So it will show me all the columns where the students will have the class BCS or BS, whatever condition I want to give it, right? So now check SQL view, select all from student table, enter where class is equal to BS or BCS, whatever you want to see, right? So one semicolon only, terminate it. So now what will I do? I'll say design and then run, and now you may see it is not showing me BCS students, it is showing me only one student who belongs to class BS. So again I just want to change the criteria. Now I want to write down BCS, so show me all the students who are in class BCS. Run. So again it is showing me another student Naeem BCS, right? So now this is the way we can get or extract data. And now here we have a little difference, that is select name and reg number. So now it will not show us all the columns, rather it will just show us the name and reg number of those students. You may see that here we have reg number, name, class, city, father's name, CNIC. So what I want to get, there is only reg number and name. Control C, then I go to that place, SQL view, and then I execute that, and now check, it is showing me only name and reg number of the student who belongs to BS, right? So again look at the query, select name and reg number from this table where class is equal to BCS. If I remove this where clause, then it will show me both students but only their reg number and name. Check. So both students Asif and Naeem and their reg number, so there is no condition applied. Now we will just go to the next command. So here I have written down another command, select reg number, student name, class from table student where class is equal to BSSE and residence is equal to hostel. So it will show us all the students who are studying in BSSE and they are not day scholars, rather they reside in the hostel. So in this way you can apply and or that you are used to do in your programming. So in the same manner you will apply those different combination of and are in the SQL queries. So this is the basics of SQL commands, and I hope that you will be able to do all this. So try out these commands and make your assignment, and inshallah it will be helpful for you. Thank you very much. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.